Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you how I paint my 40k Death Guard Plague Marines. I'm a part of a bunch of groups on Facebook, and a common question has been, how do you paint these guys with just washes in an alternative style to what you see from the heavy metal painters at GW? So I thought I'd just walk you through what I do, and hopefully you can pick up some techniques. And I'm going to kind of showcase this awesome wash by Vallejo, the Streaking Grime, which I think is one of the coolest new technical paints that I've found. So first thing that I did is I took my Plague Marine and I zenithal highlighted it. I highlighted it first with a bone color, the Ushabi Bone or whatever it's called by GW, and then I sprayed above it at a 45-degree angle with some Scar White, and that gave a nice base for our paint. And so this will be the MVP of the Plague Marine painting, is this Streaking Grime by Vallejo. I also have some of the Vallejo Rust Wash. I'm going to be using Typhus corrosion for all the pits in the armor. I'm going to be then going over it with some Rizza Rust, another technical paint. I'm using this Nephilim, whatever it's called, paint that is for like patinas, and it's good old Nuln oil. And of course, some Agrax Earthshade. Those will be all the paints that I use after I base coat it. So first thing that I'm going to do is all these pits that you see in this armor, I imagine they'd be kind of rusted out. So I'm taking the Typhus corrosion, and I'm just hitting all the pits that appear around the armor. I really like this stuff. It has this gritty, sandy texture that kind of simulates really rusted out areas of metal. And then when you go over it with Rizza Rust, I think you get a really cool effect. Alright, so we'll just go over all the different little pits, and there are tons of them on these new Death Guard models. And then once I've put in all that Typhus corrosion around the pits of the model, I'm now going to thin out some of that Streaking Grime by Vallejo, about half water to half wash there, so 50-50 mix. And I'm going to just go ahead and start coating all these different areas of the power armor. I kind of just go over it in a really thin little wash there. Then I go and I wipe off my brush on the paper towel here, getting off all the paint. Then I go to the mid sections of the armor, places that I think would be a little bit lighter, where there'd be a highlight. And I'm just kind of dabbing off some of that Streaking Grime. So you get a really natural transition from darker areas that is collecting the wash to this place that I believe needs a highlight. This is very similar if you use like oil washes and you go back and you kind of rub off some of the wash that you've put down. This Streaking Grime, you can actually do that even though it is not an oil-based wash, it's a regular acrylic. So here again, I'm putting down a little coat of the Streaking Grime. I'll wipe off the paint off my brush, and then I will go back and wipe away some of the Streaking Grime where I want there to be a highlight there, kind of at that midsection ridge of the armor. I'm going to go around all of his armor doing this. Now, since I'm making a video, I'm putting a little bit more effort into this than my usual tabletop quality miniature that I put on my board. If you want to go quick, you can kind of skip this step and go for a heavy wash, an undiluted wash of the Streaking Grime. It won't have as nice transitions, but if you're trying to put things down quick, that is something that I do as well. Alright, so after that first layer has dried, I'm going to go back here with some Agrax Earthshade, and I'm going to hit the areas that I know are going to kind of be in deeper shadow. The bottoms of the plates, around the knee joints, just in the areas I know will be catching shadows and where probably dirt and grime would collect on the armor. So I'm going all around each plate here, hitting the lower sections. I'm avoiding any areas that I know I want to have be lighter to have a highlight on them. So I'm not hitting the top of the knee or the side of that leg plate. I'm just putting it in the places that I know I need some shadows. After the Agrax Earthshade dries, I'm going to go back with an undiluted wash of that Streaking Grime again. I'm going to be hitting again the areas that I think the grime and the dirt's going to collect, areas that will be in shadow, so the bottoms of the plate. And just like before, I'll apply it. I'll wipe off my brush on the paper towel. I'll come back and remove some of the streaking grime from areas where I want there to be a highlight. Same process as the first step. This is just going to give us a little bit more contrast between the areas of the plates. The great thing about doing it like this and wiping away some of the streaking grime is you really don't have to go back and do a highlight on the plate with like a thin layer of bone or scar white. If you do this carefully, the highlights will just naturally be there, especially since we zenithalled this thing. Those highlights are just innately part of the model. So again, putting it down, wiping it away, and let it dry, and you'll get a pretty decent result. And then once that layer of streaking grime is dried, I'm going to go back now and I'm going to hit all those pitted areas with some RZA Rust. I'm going to wipe off a little bit of paint and just overbrush all those pitted areas. It'll have them stand out. Some of the Typhus corrosion will be showing through underneath it, and it gives a pretty decent rust effect. And then after I kind of touch all the pitted areas of the armor, you can then go over it and even use RZA Rust to simulate streaking rust areas. So here on the knee, I watered down the RZA Rust a little bit, and I just very gently draw a line coming down that pit. And I also put a little bit of RZA Rust at the bottom of the leg plate where probably some of that rust where it would gather as the rust streaks down the armor. And then all those areas of rust, all those areas I put down that RZA Rust, I'm going to go over it with this Vallejo Rust Effects wash. It's like this dirty red brown. And I'm going to hit most of the plates of the armor with that, but paying particular attention to the areas where the RZA Rust are, going it all around the pitted areas at the bottom of the plates. And this color really mixes well with the streaking grime. You get this really dark green, brown, little tints of orange in there. It looks disgusting and dirty, just what Papa Nurgle would want. Then after the rust effects have dried, I'm going and I'm taking some Nuln oil and hitting the places I know are going to be really cast in shadow. The sections in between overlapping plates, like you see back here on the back of his leg. Also, I'll be hitting the bottom of the leg plates down here, anywhere that I know that I want a really kind of dark line of filth that helps give some contrast to the different areas of the model, kind of like black lining here with this black wash. And this is a very optional step, but I wanted a little bit more contrast in the highlight sections of the plate. So I just go around the model and just in a few areas, I hit it with the bone color again, which brings out a little bit more of that white. And when you step back from a few feet, you can really tell the lowlights and highlights on the model. Again, you don't really have to do this. If you want a subtle blend even, I probably wouldn't, all right, because there already is a nice transition between low light and highlight with the washes we've been doing, but I just wanted a little bit more of a pop when you saw him on the table, so that's why I'm doing this. And then one of the final steps of this model is I'm going to all those pitted areas yet again, and I'm putting some of that patina technical paint down at that nice light blue-green color. Even though I think it appears more on like brass and bronze in nature, I put this stuff on any rust, even if it's iron or steel, just because it has this nice contrast to the browns and oranges of typical rust. It catches your eye, and I think it looks pretty good. So I just go around putting it in all the pits, and it dries a little bit more subtle than when you first put it on wet. It's pretty overwhelming when you first put it on, but it kind of absorbs into the paint and looks a little more subdued once it dries. And here is my finished Plague Marine. I went and painted the other sections of him off camera. Hopefully you can see that you can use these washes to paint these guys pretty quickly, even though they're packed with detail. If I had done all the fine lining and the traditional methods on this guy, it would have took several more hours. But this, I think, gave a pretty decent alternative result to what you see from GW. Hopefully you got something out of this video. Hopefully, I know the camera angles weren't great. This was the first time I've ever painted a model on camera. So hopefully my struggles to keep them in camera weren't too distracting for you. But anyways, please leave a like, hit a subscribe button if you enjoyed it, leave me a comment if you have anything that you want to say about the video or how I painted him, and I will see you all soon with another video. Take care.